Vitality Walkers. What if I told you there exists a daily ritual so powerful, so precise, that it can guarantee perfect memory recall for the rest of your life? A ritual performed every sunrise for over 2,000 years by the elephant keepers of South India. Men who at 87, 90, even 95 years old can remember every single detail of their lives with the accuracy of a computer database. I have witnessed this miracle with my own eyes. I have sat with masters whose recall is so perfect, they can tell you what they ate for breakfast on any given day 40 years ago. Who remember every elephant they've ever cared for across 7 decades, every conversation, every prayer, every moment of their lives
Ganesha,
preserved in crystal
remover of
clarity.
obstacles,
And today, I will
bless
teach you
this
this
day.
exact ritual, step by step, word by word. The same practice that has kept these keepers mentally sharp and spiritually powerful through countless generations. I am Monk Hanzo, and what you're about to discover will revolutionize your understanding of what human memory can truly achieve. For over 4 decades, I have dedicated my existence to uncovering the deepest secrets of human consciousness. I have walked through burning deserts where mystics meditate in caves for decades. I have climbed mountains where the air is so thin that every breath becomes an act of communion with the divine. I have lived in monasteries where the silence is so profound that you can hear your own thoughts echoing like temple bells. But nothing prepared me for what I discovered in the elephant temples of Tamil Nadu, in the southern heart of India. Here, in structures so ancient they seem to have grown from the earth itself, I encountered men whose mental abilities defied everything I thought I knew about the limits of human memory. If you are watching this video, I know you are searching for something more than mere existence. You refuse to accept that forgetting is an inevitable part of aging. You reject the modern belief that our minds must decline as our bodies grow older. You seek the same extraordinary mental clarity that these elephant keepers have preserved for millennia. But before we begin this sacred transmission, I need you to subscribe to this channel immediately and activate those notifications. Because what I'm about to share represents knowledge that has been guarded as carefully as the most precious temple treasures. Every detail matters. Every word carries power. And I want to ensure that you receive every teaching I offer to our growing community of consciousness explorers. Now, let me take you with me to the moment that changed everything I believed about human memory. It was during the festival of Chitra Purnami, when the full moon shines brightest over the temple complex of Srirangam. I had traveled there following rumors of elephant keepers whose memories were so legendary that pilgrims would journey for hundreds of miles just to witness their abilities. What I found exceeded my wildest expectations. The head mahout, a man named Venkatesh, who was 87 years old but moved with the grace and energy of someone 40 years younger, agreed to demonstrate his capabilities. What happened next left me speechless and fundamentally altered my understanding of what the human mind can accomplish. Standing before a gathering of over 300 pilgrims and scholars, Venkatesh began to recite from memory the complete history of every elephant that had ever served in that temple. Not just the recent ones, but going back through 7 decades of his service, and even beyond that, recounting stories and details that had been passed down to him by his own masters. He spoke for 6 hours without pause, naming each elephant, describing their personalities, their favorite foods, their behavioral quirks, the exact dates they arrived at the temple, the ceremonies they participated in, the pilgrims they blessed, even the specific prayers that were chanted during their consecration rituals. But that was only the beginning. As the evening progressed, Venkatesh moved on to recounting the details of his own life with the same extraordinary precision. He told us about conversations he had held decades earlier, describing not just what was said, but the weather that day, what he was wearing, what he had eaten for his morning meal, who else was present, and even the emotional state of everyone involved. He recited the names of every pilgrim who had visited the temple during his tenure, thousands upon thousands of people from every corner of India and beyond. For each person, he remembered their hometown, their reason for coming, their family circumstances, what they had prayed for, and whether their prayers had been answered. When someone in the audience challenged him by asking about a specific date from 30 years earlier, Venkatesh closed his eyes for just a moment, then opened them and began to describe that day in perfect detail, the exact time the temple doors opened, which elephants participated in the morning blessing, what the weather was like, which ceremonies were performed, and even what was served for the communal meal. The precision was absolutely staggering. This wasn't just good memory or even exceptional memory. This was perfect recall of a quality that seemed almost supernatural. "How is this possible?" I asked him later that evening as we sat in the quiet courtyard, the ancient stones still warm from the day's sun. "What allows you to remember with such incredible accuracy?" Venkatesh smiled with the serene confidence of someone who has mastered one of life's greatest arts. "Monk Sahib," he said, using the respectful term that had become my name during my travels through India, "memory is not a gift that some people have and others lack. Memory is a skill, like playing music or crafting pottery. It must be cultivated, nurtured, and practiced according to specific principles." He gestured toward the temple where the evening prayers were beginning, the sound of bells and chanting filling the air with sacred vibrations. "What I will share with you now," he continued, "is the exact ritual that my lineage has practiced for over 70 generations. A ritual so powerful that it not only preserves memory, but actually enhances it with each passing year. The older we become, the sharper our recall grows. Over the following weeks, as I was privileged to live among the elephant keepers and observe their daily practices, Venkatesh revealed to me every detail of what he called the Sunrise Memory Sadhana, a complete system for developing and maintaining perfect recall that addressed every aspect of mental function. This wasn't just a single technique or practice, but an integrated approach that combined specific timing, sacred substances, breathing patterns, visualization exercises, and spiritual disciplines that work together to create optimal conditions for memory formation and retention. The ritual began before dawn, in the sacred hour that the masters called Brahma Muhurta, the time of divine consciousness, when the veil between worlds is thinnest and the mind is most receptive to transformation. At exactly 4:30 a.m., while the world still slept and the air was pure and undisturbed, Venkatesh would begin his practice. The first step involved the consumption of what he called Smriti Rasayana, the nectar of memory. This was a carefully prepared blend of 3 sacred plants that grew only in the temple grounds, plants that had been cultivated and blessed by generations of spiritual practitioners. The primary ingredient was a special variety of Mandukaparni, Indian pennywort, that grew in the shadows of the temple walls where the morning prayers had been chanted for over 1,000 years. According to ancient texts, this plant absorbed not just nutrients from the soil, but the spiritual vibrations of countless hours of devotional practice. The second component was Brahmi, but not the common variety found in markets. This was a rare strain that grew only in the sacred ponds where the temple elephants bathed, nourished by water that had been blessed in elaborate ceremonies and infused with the prayers of pilgrims from across the centuries. The third element was the most precious of all, a powder made from the bark of a Bodhi tree that was said to be a direct descendant of the very tree under which the Buddha attained enlightenment. This bark was harvested only during the full moon, only by those who had completed specific spiritual purifications, and only in quantities that would not harm the sacred tree. These 3 ingredients were combined according to precise proportions that had been refined through countless generations of practice, mixed with water from the temple's most sacred well, and consumed while chanting specific mantras that activated what the masters called the divine channels of memory. But the sacred substances were only the beginning. As the Smriti Rasayana began to circulate through his system, Venkatesh would begin the second phase of the ritual, a series of breathing exercises designed to optimize the flow of prana to the brain and nervous system. The primary technique was called Smriti Pranayama, the breath of remembrance. This involved a specific pattern of inhalation and exhalation that was coordinated with the repetition of sacred syllables, creating a rhythm that synchronized brainwave patterns with what the masters understood to be the fundamental frequencies of consciousness itself. Modern neuroscience has begun to validate what these ancient practitioners discovered through pure experimentation. Research shows that specific breathing patterns can dramatically increase oxygen flow to the brain, stimulate the production of neurotransmitters essential for memory formation, and even promote the growth of new neural connections well into advanced age. The third phase of the ritual involved what Venkatesh called darshan sadhana, the practice of sacred seeing. This was a sophisticated visualization technique that involved mentally recreating scenes from the previous day in perfect detail, then expanding this practice to include memories from the past week, month, and eventually extending back through years and decades of experience. But this wasn't just passive recollection. The practice involved actively strengthening memory by deliberately focusing on details that might otherwise be forgotten. The texture of objects, the quality of light at different times of day, the subtle expressions on people's faces, the exact words spoken in conversations, even the emotional atmosphere of different moments. Through consistent practice of this technique, the practitioners developed what they called akshara smrti, indestructible memory, the ability to recall any moment from their lives with perfect clarity and accuracy. The final phase of the ritual was perhaps the most profound, a period of deep meditation during which the practitioner entered into communion with what the tradition calls cosmic memory. The idea that individual consciousness is connected to a universal field of awareness that contains all knowledge and experience. During this meditation, Venkatesh would sit in perfect stillness as the sun rose over the temple complex. His mind expanded beyond the boundaries of individual memory into a state of awareness that encompassed not just his own experiences, but the accumulated wisdom of his entire lineage. In this state, he explained to me, I can access not just my own memories, but the memories of all the masters who came before me. Their knowledge becomes my knowledge. Their experiences inform my understanding. This is how our traditions are preserved with such perfect accuracy across so many generations. Tell me in the comments right now, have you ever experienced moments when your memory felt crystal clear, when you could recall details with perfect accuracy? Or do you struggle with forgetfulness, feeling frustrated when important memories slip away just when you need them most? Share your experience with me, because I want you to understand that the kind of perfect recall that Venkatesh demonstrated is not some rare genetic gift. It's the result of specific practices that can be learned and mastered by anyone willing to commit to the discipline required. Walkers, what I discovered during my time with the elephant keepers completely revolutionized my understanding of human memory and its potential. The ritual they practiced wasn't just maintaining their existing mental capabilities, it was actually enhancing them year after year, creating a trajectory of cognitive improvement that continued well into advanced age. When I returned to the West and began sharing these discoveries with neuroscientists and memory researchers, I was amazed to find that every aspect of this ancient system corresponded perfectly with the most advanced findings of modern brain science. The sacred plants that formed the foundation of the Smriti Rasayana contain compounds that have been proven to enhance neural plasticity, protect brain cells from oxidative damage, and promote the formation of new synaptic connections. The breathing techniques stimulate the vagus nerve and optimize brainwave patterns in ways that create ideal conditions for memory consolidation. The visualization practices strengthen the hippocampus and other brain regions essential for memory formation and recall. But what made this discovery even more remarkable was the precision with which these ancient masters had understood the timing and sequencing of these practices. They had discovered through centuries of careful observation that there are specific windows of opportunity when the brain is most receptive to enhancement, and they had developed their ritual to take maximum advantage of these natural rhythms. The pre-dawn timing of the practice, for instance, corresponds exactly with what modern chronobiology has identified as the period when cortisol levels naturally peak, creating optimal conditions for memory consolidation and retrieval. After months of intensive study and practice with the elephant keepers, I returned home with a profound question burning in my heart. How could I honor this sacred knowledge? How could I make these powerful techniques accessible to people who would never have the opportunity to live in an Indian temple and study with traditional masters? The answer came through a collaboration with both traditional Ayurvedic practitioners who understood the subtle energetic properties of the sacred plants, and modern scientists who could analyze and validate their chemical constituents and biological effects. Together, we developed a formulation that captures the essence of the Smriti Rasayana in a form that maintains its traditional potency while meeting contemporary standards for purity and quality. This formulation contains the same sacred plants that grow in the temple grounds, prepared according to the same time-honored methods that have preserved their effectiveness for countless generations. This formulation, based directly on the wisdom of the elephant keepers, has already transformed the lives of thousands of people who had resigned themselves to declining memory and cognitive function. I've received testimonials from people in their 80s and 90s who describe their recall as sharper now than it was in their 50s. I've heard from families who were watching helplessly as loved ones struggled with memory loss, only to witness remarkable improvements that their doctors called extraordinary. The link to learn about this formulation, this bridge between ancient wisdom and modern accessibility, is in the description of this video and also in the first comment I've pinned directly below. It's my way of ensuring that the sacred knowledge of the elephant keepers reaches everyone who needs it, regardless of their ability to travel to remote temples or spend years in traditional study. But I want you to understand something crucial about this ancient wisdom. The true power of the ritual lies not just in the substances consumed or the techniques practiced, but in the attitude of reverence and dedication that the practitioners bring to their practice. The elephant keepers don't just take herbs to improve their memory. They approach their daily practice as a sacred act of communion with the divine intelligence that underlies all existence. They understand that memory is not just a personal faculty, but a sacred responsibility to preserve and transmit the wisdom of their tradition for future generations. This attitude of reverence transforms every aspect of the practice, elevating it from a mere technique to a spiritual discipline that honors the miracle of consciousness itself. If this ancient wisdom resonates with something deep in your soul, if you feel called to explore the extraordinary potential of your own memory and awareness, then I invite you to take action right now. Like this video and share it with someone who would benefit from this knowledge. Send it to a family member who's struggling with memory issues, or to a friend who wants to optimize their cognitive performance. And if you haven't already subscribed to this channel, please do so now. Hit that subscribe button and activate notifications, because you're joining a community of consciousness explorers who are dedicated to uncovering and applying the most powerful techniques for human optimization and spiritual development that have ever been discovered. Leave a comment below telling me which aspect of the elephant keeper's ritual most intrigues you. Are you most interested in the sacred timing, the blessed substances, the breathing techniques, or the meditation practices? Your engagement helps me understand what topics to explore in future videos. Remember, Walker, you were created for extraordinary memory, for perfect recall, for the kind of mental clarity that grows stronger with age rather than weaker. The forgetfulness that our society accepts as normal aging is not normal at all. It's a symptom of minds that have been deprived of the specific nourishment and training that these ancient masters understood so well. You have within you the same capacity for perfect memory that the elephant keepers have cultivated for generations. The only question is whether you're willing to honor this capacity with the dedication and practice it deserves. May your memory be as vast and precise as the cosmic intelligence that created you. May your recall be as perfect as the sacred knowledge preserved in the temples of eternity. And may you use this extraordinary gift not just for personal benefit, but to serve the highest good of all beings. Until our next journey together through the pathways of ancient wisdom and human potential, keep your mind open to wonder, your heart receptive to truth, and your spirit aligned with the eternal principles that guide all sincere seekers toward their highest destiny. The blessings of the elephant keepers are with you always.